Hey, how's everybody doing today? Paul Haney here from Mind Gaia. So what do I want to talk to you about today? Well, there's two things in life that we should all be aware of and we should be doing our best to implement. Now, those two things are to stop being perfectionists and to understand when to let go and stop trying to control everything. Now, both of these things, we can look at one principle that really gives a good understanding of why we need to consider these two things, and that is the 80-20 principle, also known as the Pareto Principle. Now, this came about in 1897 by a guy named Vilfredo Pareto, and he was an Italian economist. And he discovered that 20% of the population had 80% of the wealth. And in his calculations, he worked out that this 80-20 principle was true for many, many things in life. If you think about it, think about your wardrobe. Chances are 20% of the clothes you wear 80% of the time. If you think about a book, a non-fiction book, okay, 20% of the text that you read, it includes 80% of the knowledge that you need to get from it. And obviously we've got the 20% of people own 80% of the wealth. So the 80-20 principle is something that happens, it's around us at all times, and we need to be aware of it. And we need to be aware of it both in our personal lives and our business lives. Now, it's not necessarily an exact science of 80-20. It could be 75-25, it could be 85-15. The point is being aware of it, because 20% of what you do is going to give you 80% of the results in your life. So why spend time worrying about the other percentage that's not going to give you the results? So let's think about this from an individual perspective at first. If you spend your entire time being a perfectionist, you're worrying about this small percentage that's going to, or this big percentage that's going to give you such small results. So go back to it again, 80-20, all right? 20% of the work you do gives you 80% of the results, which means 80% of the work you do gives you 20% of the results. Why waste your time on that 80% of work for only 20% of the results? Now, that's in all areas of your life. This can be in goal setting. Chances are 20% of your goals give you 80% of the benefit that you want in life. When it comes back to books, and then this comes back to a speed reading component, but 20% of what you read covers 80% of the information. And I'm happy to do an entire video on how to do speed reading if you're interested about how to get more knowledge in less time, because ultimately time is something we are all pressed for. So from an individual perspective, understand this. Think about, on the time front, you don't have a lot of time. We need to do some chores around the home. What could you possibly do? Well, chances are you probably mow your lawn. If you've got a lawn, if you're not living in an apartment, you mow your lawn maybe every fortnight. Now, you could do that, or you could give up control and let somebody else do it. You could get one of the neighborhood kids to come in and do it. Probably pay them $10 an hour to do it. Now, if you think about it, if we go back and we think, let's say your time is worth $100 an hour, and each time you're mowing the lawn, it takes you an hour, okay? So it's cost you $100. You could have spent that time doing something else. You can pay a kid $10 to mow your lawn, and that frees up the hour. Now, as a one-off, that doesn't do a lot, but if you do this over the course of a year, and that's fortnightly, you're looking at $2,000 that you could have saved in your time and invested that elsewhere. So on the front of, stop being a perfectionist and giving up control, if we think about the giving up control component, what you have to understand is, yes, you may think that you can do everything better than anyone else. But what you've got to understand is, initially, yes, you may be able to, but you've got to give up control and let somebody else take on some of the things for you. And initially, they may not do it as well, but in time, maybe, just maybe, their skill set is better suited to that job. And this comes back to, again, you should do the things you enjoy. So 20% of what you do gives you 80% of the results. So find the 20% that you're really good at, you really enjoy, and you get those results. Now, when it comes to business, 20% of the sales force are usually, they usually bring in 80% of the results. 20% of the marketing usually brings in 80% of the results. So when it comes to business, it's about understanding, well, what 20% is delivering all these results, and how can I start to outsource the other 80%? So more of my time and more of my business's time are put towards the 20% of things that give me those results. So as I say, you've got to learn to give up control, let other people do things for you, teach them, and understand that initially they may not do it as well as you, but in time their skill set may in fact be better suited to it. You can then free your time up to work on the other things, the 20% of the stuff that gives you the 80% of the results that you really enjoy and that you're really good at. And when it comes to being a perfectionist, stop worrying about that last little bit, because ultimately we're all pushed for time, and the reality is you're going to waste a lot of time worrying about that last 20% of the results that takes you 80% of the time. Stop doing it. Stop being a perfectionist. Ultimately, it's wasting your time, you're not getting as much done, and you're not having as much enjoyment in your life. So the 80-20 principle, Pareto, the Italian economist, remember that. Try to let go of control of some things, understand that some people may be able to do it better than you, and as I say, just understand that being a perfectionist, I know we all are guilty of it from time to time, but you've got to let go of it, because that last bit, that last 20% of the results is coming from 80% of your time and effort. Does that really work for you? Probably not. So understand that you've got to be aware of these two things and try and implement them, which is letting go of the control and letting go of a perfectionist, and do the things that you're really good at to get the results in less time. Paul Haney here from Mind Gaia. Give me some comments below. Let me know if you'd like me to do a video on how to do speed reading if you're struggling to, get through books, you're struggling for time. Love doing these videos, as I always say. Share them with your friends. Give me a like or a comment if you like this stuff. Let me know what else you want to hear, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a lovely day. Take care, everyone.